A warm welcome. I really appreciate having you here participating in our panel discussion. The Hannover Fair Digital Edition offers endless possibilities of improving plants and machines. The topic of our panel discussion is Global Cross-Vendor LNI TSN testbed applicable for heterogeneous applications. Okay, sounds more complicated than it actually is. In the first 25 minutes, I'm very glad to moderate this panel discussion with our experts. Then in the following 30 minutes, you will be able to ask questions to our experts at our Zoom meeting. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ronald Heinze. I am an editor-in-chief and publishing director at the publishing house VDI Verlag. Ladies and gentlemen, necessity is the mother of invention. We have to cope new challenges, the pandemic on the one hand, as well as the needed enhancements in sustainability on the other hand require more flexible automation solutions. Standards are the best means to build a common understanding. Communication is a very important element. The LNI 4.0 TSN testbed validates extensions to the IEEE 802.1 standard family for time-sensitive networking in close cooperation with IEC, IEEE, and OPC Foundation. The application-independent user network interface is a key element making heterogeneous real-time applications with TSN possible. Experience says that chances never get lost. If you do not take your opportunities, others will. LNI 4.0 testbed helps experts of different companies to cooperate in TSN or for flexible heterogeneous networks. 40 partners from companies around the world use their chances and test their end devices and switches. To discuss the advantages of LNI 4.0 testbed with you, we have invited the best experts on this topic. I would like to suggest that our experts will introduce themselves. I would say, ladies first, Anja, please. Anja from company Mitsubishi Electric.
Yeah, hello, my name is Andrea Mozoski and I work at Mitsubishi Electric in the European Development Center. And here I am mainly focusing on topics like Industry 4.0 TSN, the administration shell or OPC UA.
Thank you, Anja. Let me now pass the virtual microphone over to Dominic Ramos.
Thank you very much, Ronald. Dominic Ramos. I'm the CTO of Labs Network Industry 4.0. Labs Network Industry 4.0 is a German association. The special thing is it is pre-competitive and non-profit. You might say it has the bylaws of an NGO, of a non-governmental organization. This enables us to cross-vendor, validate and test globally, internationally, without having any lock-in effects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominic. And now Karl Weber. Karl works for the company Beckhoff. The company ranks among the most important innovators of the automation community. Karl, it's your turn.
Yes, hello everybody. I have 4 duties in my daily life to do. My main engagement is supporting the Beckhoff team to provide innovative solutions for our very also innovative customers. And the other one is to serve as technical support in the EtherCAT technology group. And then I have 2 engagements in IEEE. One is in the government involvement program as a representative of the German Ministry of Economic Affairs. And the other one is I'm a member of the IEEE SA Standard Board, which encourages and coordinates the development of standards. So roughly 1,000 standards are under the flight as of today.
Thank you, Karl. Our next participant is Sven Gottwald from the company Siemens. Sven.
Thank you, Ronald. Hello, everybody. My name is Sven Gottwald and I work for Siemens in the field of industrial communication since 1999. And now, at the moment, I'm the head of portfolio management for digital communication for digital connectivity and power. I'm responsible to bring all the TSN stuff in our products.
Thank you, Sven. Sebastian Hilscher is the CEO of the company Hilscher. This company is your expert for real-time Ethernet and field post technology. Please, Sebastian.
Thank you, Roland. So I'm Sebastian Hilscher. I took over the company from Hans-Jürgen Hilscher with beginning of last year. So we are a mid-sized company, as Mr. Heinze said. So we are doing we are a technology provider for industrial communication solution. So TSN is our main focus for the future, the new technology for industrial communication. So we are really here. This is our topic, and so we are also here focusing on these parts here. So, and I'm Sebastian Hilscher, the CEO of the company.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian.
Thanks.
And last but not least, Stephan Hoppe. Stephan Hoppe is the President and Executive Director of the OPC Foundation. Stephan, it's your stage.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me today here. Stephan Hoppe, you introduced me already. Thank you very much. The OPC Foundation is with more than 800 members, the worldwide largest ecosystem for secured industrial interoperability, and we have members from the OT and IT world. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you. Let's start with our discussion. My first question goes to Karl. TSN is discussed in many circles. Can you explain shortly what does it mean?
Okay. TSN is time-sensitive networking, and this is an add-on to the existing IT switching technology. Communication requires a basic transmission technology, which is excluded from TSN, and which is one such as Ethernet. And with Ethernet, you have individual links, and you have the switching technology helps you to establish a complete network. This is done in the standard world by the IEEE 802.1 bridging technology, which is the relay function between Ethernet links. The best effort traffic is used in this switching technology for IT traffic. This is very good for sporadic traffic, but has a very significant delay variation. TSN can reduce this variation and can provide synchronized interaction. TSN is still a growing series of standards. It's not end amendments. The features can be used in different variations. Thus, a TSN profile for industrial automation is needed, which is done as joint effort between IEC, the International Standardization Organization, and the IEEE within the 60802 project. But enhancement in standard is just the first step for use in industrial applications, of course.
Yes, thank you, Karl. But Dominic, what does this mean for Industry 4.0?
Thank you very much, Ronald. That's a good question. Let me repeat that Industry 4.0 is now exactly 10 years old. In 2011, exactly here at the Hannover Fair, the term was introduced and since then adopted globally. It appears worldwide in different forms, let's say intelligent manufacturing and smart manufacturing also. And what does it have to do with TSN? A lot. These new elements of communication require support of many industries. And in the end, you cannot send everyone of every industry to IEC or IEEE meetings to work in these working groups. So LNI itself is not a standardization body. Don't get that wrong. We are not standard setting organization, even not that. So, but we want to support that and validate. So IEC and IEEE that was just mentioned before, let's say the 6802 activities can benefit by the support of LNI in form of this validation within testbeds. I'm very pleased and humbled and honored that LNI gained so much trust over the past years that global industry representatives sent their experts and senior experts to these test beds to validate the IEEE 802.1 standard family for TSN and support the normative activities in IEC. In the end, we are a platform for testing TSN in a pre-competitive and neutral way. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dominic. Next question to you. What is an LNI 4.0 testbed? What can we understand by that?
I just mentioned it. You're right. I didn't define it. Good question. What is testbed? There are many different definitions around the world for testbed. We have somehow our own. The USP, the key point is really the neutrality. So LNI is pre-competitive and non-profit. This is somehow unique when it comes to an industrial-based association. It is quite usual for political or social activities, but for industrial activities, it's quite seldom. And this NGO-like character that we are having and that we are extremely working on enables us that we are extremely pre-competitive, offering validation and testing environments. This testing takes place in one of the so-called competence centers, 4.0 in Germany. That's a unique thing there. They offer us the facilities, they are the host, they take care of all the organizational topics, and then all representatives of all companies around the globe come to that place and plug pre-competitively TSN technology, and they learn by that without losing or having the danger of any IP topics or anything like this. We avoid that. This is this sensible balance that we take care of. Thank you.
Yeah, very interesting. Industry 4.0 is a German initiative. What is the motivation for companies around the world to participate, Anja?
Yeah, that's also a good question. And Dominic already explained a little bit of this. Industry 4.0 is becoming more globally, and it is a response to the change in customer needs. And yeah, digitalization in all is becoming increasingly important, and topics such as reduction of engineering costs, bed size one, predictive maintenance, and AI are discussed and developed. Interoperability is one of the key factors for implementation. Mitsubishi Electric operates globally, and our technologies such as CC-Link, IE, TSN already cover many of these aspects, but it's important that all technologies in the end work together, and that's why we need to collaborate with the experts around the world. And as Dominic already said, the TSN testbed is a good way to connect with other developers and test devices.
Thank you, Anja. A question to Sven. Siemens supports existing platforms with their solutions. What is the motivation to support LNI testbed, Sven?
There are various solutions on the market, and Siemens supports some of them, such as OPC UA with the strengths in vertical communication and machine-to-machine communication. We see the need for multiple applications in a single network. Our products, in particular our network products, help to support combined technologies as TSN and OPC. As part of an ongoing development, we are testing TSN interoperability with a number of other industrial companies to access the potential of TSN in machine-to-machine communication in this testbed.
Thank you very much. But can you tell us what is the benefit for Siemens to test in the LNI testbed?
With the participation in the LNI testbed, we receive early results, and this increase our stability of our products. Furthermore, we minimize the risk of implementing the standard incorrectly. In this way, we avoid misinterpretations of the standard.
Okay, this is a big picture, but why a company like Hilscher, as a medium-sized company, a member of LNI and TSN testbed, Sebastian?
Thank you, Roland, for this question. So it's like Dominic says, as an important thing of the LNI, it's its neutrality. It offers a good solution for target-oriented cooperation with several different partners from different markets. So this is the basis for the pre-competitive evaluation of new technologies like TSN. So the LNI testbed demonstrates these properties. It provides early access to the output of the standardization process. So, and as Hilscher, as a provider of communication solution, it has the opportunity to test and evaluate TSN implementation against others at an early stage. In combination with discussion with the partners about the integration of TSN into an existing ecosystem are very helpful in finding the right way through the jungle of these different standards and protocols.
But why should other medium-sized companies be part of the LNI TSN testbed, Sebastian?
So TSN itself stands for an interoperable and open technology. For this reason, it is very important that the ongoing standardization process covers the requirements of as many users as possible for the industrial automation. The LNI can combine all these requirements from the different members and forward them to the responsible committees. This means that every member can directly influence and access and influence the development of these new technologies with being a member in LNI. In addition, the testbed helps to understand the difficulties that come up with interoperability when it is required. So this speeds up the development and helps to accelerate the development of own products in this TSN market.
Thanks. Thank you very much. My next question goes to Stephan from OPC Foundation. OPC Foundation supports the integration of heterogeneous technologies. What does it mean for the TSN technology, Stephan?
Well, first of all, we are definitely not the inventors of TSN, right? This is an IEEE standard, and we also not invented other technologies like 5G, but we are cooperating with many automation system stakeholders, obviously with more than 800 members, as mentioned before. And so integration is definitely one of our key competence, including also everywhere security aspects. So we want to make sure that even we are not the inventors of the technology, we are integrating and seeking for this seamless integration into PubSub, right? This is most critical for us. And so I truly believe that one single organization is no longer able to solve the problems of this world. We need to cooperate between organizations. And that's why we so proud to cooperate here with IAC, with IEEE. And so the LNI testbed is really a good combination to come together and test on this 802 networks and also include OPC features.
Thank you, Stephan. If OPC specifies unified solutions with TSN, is there no need for an extra testbed?
You mean we can do everything on our own? I disagree here. And as Sven Gottwald already from Siemens mentioned before, we see multiple solutions, multiple application solutions in a single network. And this is what we have to establish and provide for our all customers. And so just to give an example, it might be a brownfield scenario. You already have a robot, and the robot has already protocols, safety protocols from EtherCAT, from Profinet, and they are proven by the TÜV, for example, already. And so now you bring them into a network where we want to share one TSN cable, but multiple applications run over that one cable. And so this means we need to come together and test multiple scenarios and come early together to test this in a heterogeneous application environment, right? And so we are very proud that OPC is one of the first application protocols being tested in this LNI, and this makes it so high value for us here.
Okay, thank you, Stephan. A question to Dominique. Why is neutral pre-competitive testing so important, Dominique?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronald. That's really a delicate question. And let me give, please allow me to give some minutes to answer that question. usually you would expect that there's one company leading, and somehow the others follow. A little bit like this chain of thoughts when you think about value chains, value networks, when you think about the usual operation mode in a B2B environment. If almost independent of the sector, it doesn't matter if it's industry or other sectors. Times changed. The new things came in, and it was already mentioned by Karl before, the IT and OT merge. So they don't care about the sector. They care about technology and innovation, as Karl mentioned before. And this is exactly where LNI comes into the game. There is not one company or one stakeholder leading and the others follow. It is rather, it would make sense to interact with other stakeholders, with other companies, possibly also cross-sector. So energy and industry, also that happens in LNI. And think how IT technology that we are adapting, all this internet technology, can benefit these other sectors. This is exactly what the question is. TSN is a base technology, absolutely base technology. It's deterministic real-time over the internet. In a way how industry, which is extremely demanding, industrial communication is demanding, has high levels of quality of services, is requiring it. In a usual consumer setup where IT is until now, or in the past, at least where it comes from, focusing on, this is not so crucial. You as an individual person can live with a delay in an internet connection, in a machine-to-machine communication, as we are working here. This is not possible. But you need to know machines today are not from a single vendor. You always have a mix of different vendors. And then, you know, all of a sudden you have a merchant acquisition and a completely different machine tooling setup also comes to you, comes to your factory. What do you do? On all these interfaces, you need to spend a lot of money to get everything then again working and nicely together. So TSN is a base technology that will enable you all these everyday life problems in industry and other sectors. The expert mentioned already how they approach that. Multi-vendor, international, cross-company collaboration based on standards. So we support the standardization work in IEEE and the normative work in IEC. This is exactly where we can gain the speed in these activities of these normative bodies. And we come basically from the industrial requirements and give feedback and reflect to the standardization bodies. Let me allow Ronald for the last minute to invite more companies to come to LNI testbed, to this extremely neutral pre-competitive place, kind of a full service for neutrality, to play with all these other international companies, roughly 40 from around the globe, from America, from Europe, from Asia. All relevant players are in that testbed, and share that common view that we pre-competitively bring TSN technology forward by supporting the standardization organizations that were just mentioned by me, by myself, and also Karl Weber. Let me also give one final sentence, what Stephan just mentioned. It is super relevant that all organizations, not only companies, but organizations interact and work together in that respect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dominic.
Dominic, maybe also from my side, I think TSN is not a very small size project where you change a little bit in the industrial automation. So it's used in other areas, in automotive, in airplanes, in 5G front-haul networks, and so on, and also in data center. So it's it changes the paradigm, some of the paradigms of the switching technology is used in the internet. So it's not a very easy job, and we have to do quite a lot of things. And plugfests are really a very ideal solution to bring to, I would always say this is a playground for engineers. And this is also an atmosphere which produces innovative solutions to bring this forward. And so we cannot expect that this will be finalized in the next year. And so we all are connected with TSN, but this will be a task for a couple of years. And we need all experts, and we need quite a lot of people to come to the test bed. It's really a nice environment if we can test again and play with each other. This is it's a very, we have no any constraints on how we test it, so it's really a good chance to move forward this very important topic.
Thank you very much, Karl. Ladies and gentlemen, the first part of our digital event is over. Please give a warm virtual applause for our experts. And now I have an important advice for you. Please visit the joint stand of Labs Network Industry 4.0 and Platform Industry 4.0 at the Digital Hanover Fair. You can find more information about the project TSN Testbed at the virtual exhibition booth of the LNI 4.0. Thank you very much. And now I would like to suggest, let's switch over now to our Zoom webinar.
Is the link displayed for the Zoom webinar? Shall we announce that?
Where's the link? The link is, you can find it under the video feed.
Yes, the link is displayed under the video feed. So we would be very happy if you could join us now in the Q&A, and we are looking forward to your questions.
So, are we live? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Willem from Humboldt once said that it was social interaction that gave meaning to live. At this point, I would like to say that you can now ask your questions. If you would like to ask one of our experts in particular, please use the @ sign. And please use the English language for your questions. And now I'm very glad if you can read your questions to our experts. First question comes from me to Sebastian. Sebastian, can you tell us something about your experience with cross-vendor testing in the LNI testbed?
What we have learned in the past years is that if there is a specification, everything is fine. But at the end, you need to have like test beds where you test your implementation, because even if you have done everything correctly, if you think you have done everything correctly against the specification, others might interpret these specifications different. So, and that's really why it's necessary or mandatory to have really test beds that everyone can put their stuff into this test bed and see and try that the interoperability have to the other devices, because everybody thinks I'm fine and I've done everything correctly to the specification, but at the end they don't work together. And that's what could be tested in test beds, that if everything works together, then everything is fine. Yeah. So we really have to have these test beds, because even if there is a specification, there might be small different interpretations, and that's why you have to test against other devices from other vendors. That's really mandatory. And that's what we have learned so far in the test bed, because in the first plug things together, nothing worked really perfectly. So we have to modify some things so everything works correctly. This was one thing we have learned from test beds.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Very interesting. A question to Dominic. How does LNI bundle all these different stakeholders together?
Yeah. Thank you. I would like to, as I mentioned just before in our live event, it's a matter of trust. So we create a space. Neutrality means trust and requires trust. So we create a space where neutrality is lived and everyone trusts each other. This is really the key to success. We have a marketing campaign, for instance, here at the Hannover Fair, which is very important for us. And in the end, we talk directly to the people in the different companies that we meet, for instance, at Hannover Fair, and invite them. I do hope that after this event, new participants will come into the game and will come to the TSN testbed. I should mention that it is obstacle-free. The so-called Competence Center 4.0 in Augsburg, where this testbed is located. Augsburg is in the south of Germany. It's about 1 hour away from Munich Airport. There is everything pre-financed. It's a grant by the German national government that enables us that we are basically getting into that place and everything is prepared. You just have to cover your own work hours and your travel cost. At the moment, everything is taking place digital, so even that cost is off. You meet the senior engineers from many different other companies, as was mentioned before by Karl and others, and that enables you to create your own networks and to bundle with other people that you usually would not have access to so easily. Let me also put that to a second thing. There's another stakeholder, and how do we work with them together? And I would like to also hand over to Karl afterwards, and also Stephan a little bit. The normative organization IEC and the standard organization IEEE. How do you cooperate with them? Usually, as Sebastian just mentioned, a small medium enterprises does not have the resources and the availability for active contribution. Usually, Hilscher is an exemption, so they do it, but usually in average, you cannot afford that. So here LNI is doing the job on behalf of. And how do we do that? We do it by liaison contracts. So we have liaison contracts with all these organizations mentioned before. And by that we can formally, without this Wild West, you know, I have a document somewhere and stuff. No, completely transparent, completely formally interact with these normative and standardization bodies, exchange draft versions, give feedback, having a continuous discussion process with the working groups within these organizations. And by that, supporting them very, very highly. So to cut it short, even the normative organizations greatly appreciate those neutral test beds because it speeds up their own processes. Put it in a different scale way, you come there then with a synchronized opinion on a very specific topic that is always good for a standardization organization. It reduces the stress level at them. Possibly Karl can catch up a little bit also on that topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Karl?
Yeah, I think, as I would say, usually you don't see the effect of standardization. I always say you see the effect of standardization if something did not work. So if you have a mobile phone and your contacts don't work and so on. If you touch your mobile phone, you have you work with hundreds of standards in principle. And this is the same principle in industrial automation. But coming to IEEE, I think more and more if we take Industry 4.0 serious, then we have another big ecosystem, which is the IT world. We have to integrate this one. And it's not very simple just to say, I take an IT standard and put it in an existing environment or put it in a pod and turn it around, and then you have immediately this one. This is a very critical process, not only in communication, but also in the area of digital twin and so on. And thus, we seek for means to combine this technology, which often means interworking liaisons between different areas, and this makes it complicated. So standardization is not just founding a committee and they're doing the work, but you have so many interconnections and you have to deal with these interconnections, and LNI is a very important element in Industry 4.0 to this transformation process, because you have a control loop back, which is very important for the standardization. So they take some things. So it's not perfect. It's really a very, you need not have a perfect solution, but if you have a plan how it works and you have done some implementation steps, you can use the LNI environment to bring it in, and then we most probably have quite a few standardization processes in the background, and then we can build up a control loop between the needs of the market, industrial market, especially here in Germany, and the world of standardization. And what Roland said at the beginning, so we need to be more flexible in the future to be flexible in pandemic situations. We have to be faster. We know this very urgently, but also in the ecological change, and to do this in combination with standardization. But we need flexibility is one element, but to have standardization and to have a good interworking is the other one. And this is why we need elements like LNI.
Thank you very much, Karl. I have an important advice to our listeners. Please enjoy us with your questions. And the next question is relating standardization. Why is the validation of TSN standards relevant? How does it support the standardization process?
Karl, you mentioned,
so from I think we do this. So we are not, TSN is not the first step in industrial communication. We do this for more than 40 years, and I would always say I'm belonging to the Jurassic Park of industrial communication. And very quickly we found out that we need standardization. It was even in the 80s of this year. So I have my more than 30 years I'm working in standardization, also in international standardization. But with the standardization, we found out the successful projects in standardization, especially in communication, is only possible if you have test beds. Also, IEC is working on TSN test beds. There are other organizations that are also doing test efforts, and it's a growing step. And LNI is a more or less as testbed, not official certification, but we have to do this, and we know it, and the more we experience with the testbed, we know the critical issues, and then we can build up on the testbed experience and to establish conformance test procedure. You need this in industrial automation anyway, especially in communication, where you plug one device from one vendor with one to the other vendor, and you need 99% of chance that it works. If it don't work and it costs you a couple of hours, then this means you need thousands of people worldwide to do this integration work, and we don't have the people. We don't have it. So the success is requires a good conformance testing, a good testing. Otherwise, the standard will never ever be successful.
Thank you very much, Karl. We have a further question to Stephan relating a test of PubSub hosted by LNI 4.0 testbed. Can you explain the relevance of PubSub testing in LNI 4.0 testbed, Stephan?
Good question, but as a political person, I first want to answer on the others and interact with them. Please remind me later on that I don't forget that, right? So sorry.
Okay.
Because I want to second really what Dominic mentioned with a trust, because give you a little bit insights from, obviously the OPC Foundation has also internal, we call it interoperability tests, where we only test OPC UA and OPC technologies with each other. So this is what normally every organization has. And in my early life where I was a developer, yes, that's true, I did products. It was really that coming together and working and finding out there are timing issues. Yes, you implemented everything correctly, but you have timing issues or whatever. The callback is coming earlier than expected. This helps definitely. And there you need exactly what Dominic mentioned. You need a room, a trustful room, where you know you are testing and you don't get blamed, and your test results don't immediately get blamed outside in the world, but you are in a direct contact with a developer of another company. And this helps dramatically to building up even a personal relationship to developers in a community. And in case something later on really in the field happens, you know all the contacts from all the other companies, and you can contact them directly and say, hey, we both have an issue with a customer from both of our products. Please let us work immediately together. So these trustful rooms definitely help. And this is what I wanted just to second here, what Dominic mentioned before. Honestly, I forgot your question. Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I'm lost on that.
Of course, Stephan. Can you explain the relevance of PubSub testing in LNI 4.0 testbed?
Okay, good. Yeah, well, as mentioned before, we for only inside testing OPC UA with other OPC UA client server products where you have PLCs from different vendors testing an OPC UA communication vertical up into IT levels, to SAP, to Microsoft, to others, and Google and AWS, to mention all of them critical, important hyperscalers, sorry. This is what we do internally, but again, we are more coming into these hybrid products where you have, as mentioned before, you have existing products who have existing ecosystems. And they are not disappearing in a short momentum, right? We are in a conservative industry, in the discrete manufacturing, in the process automation world. It's even more. You have devices and machines which are there for 20, 30 years, and nobody is replacing them. Why? Because they just work. And if something is just working, and you have that running with a 4 to 20 milliamp sensor, why should you exchange that? So never change a running system. So we have ecosystems. They have their dedicated runtime systems, environments. They have, well, just here from the panelists, you have the CC links, you have the Profinets, the EtherCAT ecosystems, and you are not replacing that out of the box. Why? But you want to connect them horizontally for each other with TSN. And then exactly you have to test multiple scenarios, multiple technologies, and come together. And this is not what an OPC interoperability workshop can establish. No, we don't have that competence. And you need a platform who is delivering that competence. And this is exactly perfect what the LNI is delivering here, to really offer a test where you provide a broader scope for combining different solutions, right? And this is where we are happy that the LNI is running this. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Stephan. Very interesting. Dear listeners, we are waiting for your next questions. I would now ask Anja, how is the international acceptance of the LNI testbed? Anja, please.
Yeah, so basically, I can talk for our colleagues in Japan, and yeah, they appreciate the insights we can gain through the activities in the testbeds very much. So it is, yeah, the possibility to test pre-series products against similar products from competitors and therefore use it to verify their own technology is very good. It's very good, but it's not necessarily common in Japan. So it's something new, and it's the information we gain or the experience we gain with it is very helpful and appreciated. And so I can say the LNI TSN testbed is watched very closely by our colleagues in Japan. And I can also add something about the experience we gathered through the testbed, because I just wanted to mention that it's basically mostly positive what we have here. So just experiencing the experiences with the other companies and testing with different hardware together, that gives you a different perspective on your own work, and this can be very helpful.
Ronald,
can I
do you allow me to? Yeah, go ahead first. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I really think this is critically important, because also this is what I realized when I traveled in Asia, well, before the pandemic. People in Asia are aware, and they are looking what we are doing here, specifically with Industry 4.0, with the LNI test beds and so on. And this is what I realized also, not only in Japan, but also traveling in Korea. And this was exactly why I wanted to involve you, Dominic, because I think you also traveled like hell in the past, and you have this international network here. Maybe that's interesting to highlight a little bit your connections to other countries. I think specifically also to Korea.
Thank you very much. Yeah, South Korea is a very close Industry 4.0 partner in all areas, not only TSN, also above. So let me also mention the other LNI testbed, which is on the asset administration shell, the semantic interoperability. It's called asset administration shell. Sounds very technical. It is the digital twin of the implementation of Industry 4.0 would be possibly the nicer description. We have also here a global testbed, and that, for instance, cooperates with the identical testbed in Seoul. It's not a copy, so they have their own thing. In Korea, it's not only Seoul; it's actually also in the south. So in Korea, they have two: a large company and a small medium enterprise that adopt these semantic interoperability Industry 4.0 standards called asset administration shell, as an example. The same with China, but let me really elaborate on the United States. All the US-based IT companies are participating actively, and just for that, again, for that example, which we are not touching today, it's not TSN, it's again semantic interoperability standards. There we have close interaction, that there is nothing not fitting. So, so really semantic interoperability has the same requirements and level on the quality as TSN. You have to have a perfect fit to be semantic interoperable. Coming back to TSN, we are really proud that many countries of the European Union, China, Korea, Japan, Anya is here, Taiwan, United States, Canada, Switzerland, it's not European Union, are all participating. Companies, providers, technology consumers, those that have global facilities, make it specific, factories that they have to operate and have running. All those players come together in these test beds and, as mentioned before, learn from each other. So again, I would be very happy if you could join us. You saw that QR code just in the first 25 minutes. That's the booth of LNI here at the Hannover Fair, where all test beds are presented. Come to us and speak to us. I'm more than happy to do that. Again, bottom line, interoperability requires globality and international cooperation. Interoperability is nothing for regions, nations, politics, or anything like this. It is an international requirement. It's an international challenge.
Dominique, you mentioned Switzerland. What about UK? also not a member of the European Union.
Good point. Okay, I can also confirm UK is participating. That's interesting. You're right. Sorry for not mentioning that before. I would have to list it up now. So yeah, sure. UK also is participating.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question to Sebastian and to Sven. Can you tell us, please, something about your experiences in participating in LNI 4.0 testbed?
And I think I give it to you. I think I've already said
some
words. I think you should also give your experience to the audience, what you have experienced from Siemens side.
Thank you. As I said, also before, with the participation in the LNI testbed, we receive early results and find out a lot of misunderstandings and so on. And the experience in the LNI is very helpful for us. And we find a lot of failure there and misinterpretations of the standard, and then you comes into control loop, and you fix it and come back and then test it again with other participants. That's very helpful for us. And also we test there a lot of TSN, most of them time sensitive clock and so on. And then also now we will start with the OPC UA test in future. Yeah, that's our experience is very, very good in the LNI.
That's the same what we have experienced. So you could have the best implementation. Everybody thinks the specification is the best, and we have done it correctly and interpreted everything correctly. And then you come together in the LNI, and everybody thinks, okay, I have done everything correctly against the specification, and everybody puts their things together, and it's not working correctly. So that's why it's perfect to have the LNI, because if there is a specification, it could be interpreted. It could be the best specification ever. It could be misinterpreted. And that's why we need really test beds like the LNI to check your devices. And at the end, they have to work together and not in an own system with only own devices. So they have to work against other vendors. And that's why we really need the LNI to have every devices working correctly to each other.
Ronald, can I catch up on that, please? That what just Sebastian mentioned from a small medium enterprise perspective. They anyway have to struggle more to find resources to dedicate themselves to these topics which come on top then from their project and operational perspectives. It is really the driver in 2015, when LNI started together with Platform Industry 4.0. Please allow me also to mention here the Platform Industry 4.0 and the Standardization Council Industry 4.0. This triangle, these three entities together bring Industry 4.0 forward and are the melting pot for all these questions which we were discussing before. The driver for LNI was really how can we, in a bottom-up way, operationalize Industry 4.0 and bring in all these IT technologies to an OT market where Stephan was just mentioning that there's some conservatism on one hand, and anyway, the technology, the machines, etc., they are in place and in production much longer than we are sometimes used from our consumer perspective at home. 15, 20 years is not, it doesn't come at surprise. That's quite normal. And in this time, or 20 years ago, IT technology was not on a level, as Karl also mentioned before, that you just could imagine 20 years later to have IT technology in these existing machines. They are already paid off. They produce for no cost. You just have to maintain them well. This all comes into place. So LNI was really founded based on that experience. And we are really proud that TSN is one of those key technologies where IT and OT, the operational technologies, some say factory, some say chemical production plant to OT, fair enough, come really together, and where the gap between IT technology, super fast, super sexy, but only affecting a single customer, so not a big problem sometimes. While OT technology affecting a whole factory, possibly risking the rate of production or the quality of the product. Oh my God, that's a completely different league. But how can this be closer? How can that come together? This is where TSN gives a big contribution, and where this multi-vendor, mentioned already several times today, is key to success. Ronald, would you allow me that I kind of forward that question also a little bit to Anja, to get some more insights on how Japan internally is organizing that multi-vendor, multi-technology provider situation, since Japan is like Germany, a highly industrialized country, with all different areas and levels that we are having. Please allow me to mention, Ronald, in Japan, the Platform Industry 4.0, as we call it in Germany, is called Robot Revolution Initiative. Please allow me to mention that in the United States, it's called SESME, and I could list them now for all countries, but we have Japan today on stage. So let's stick to Japan, and I'm so proud to have Japan here on stage. How do you organize it internally? Then within Japan, Anja, how is that working out there within the Robot Revolution Initiative and all the other providers?
Dominic, you do my job, but it's a very good question to Anja. Anja, please.
Sorry, Ronald. Ronald, sorry.
Everything's fine.
Actually, to the Robot Revolutionary Initiative, I don't have to say anything at all, or not much at all, but I have a short guess at the moment, because the culture in Japan is completely different, or very different to the one in Germany or Europe. And so the Japanese culture seems to like everything being perfect, and therefore it's not very common that you already show or test unfinished products. So I guess something like the TSN testbed, and to work here from Europe with our products is very good, because I think it would not be so easy in Japan to have something like this. But it's just a quick guess from my side. So I think it's a good way that we can work here in Europe for our colleagues in Japan and provide them the information that they need. But as I said, the culture is quite different, and so I think they would really like to finalize their products before they even show them.
I think that is also valid for Korea, for instance. And in China, it's already a little bit different, and so we are very sensible with these cultural topics. So this has to be addressed, and we are not. Let me put it beside the trust that was already discussed. We are not the better knowers. So this is super important. We are not LNI, or in Germany is not that we know it better. We do it better. Like this is exactly not the culture we are having. It's a global, international, trustful culture where you directly and openly collaborate without getting to the risks that someone tells you what you do wrong, or why your way is the only right way and you know anyway anything better. That culture actually changed already a long time ago in Germany, and I think it makes sense to really bring this as a bottom line here. LNI is exactly the opposite of what I just showed. It is about trust. It is about international trustful collaboration to bring the thing forward. And the thing here in that case is TSN.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much, Dominic. These were very fine final words from you. And I have to say that our panel discussion and our digital event is now over. Thank you very much for the interesting discussion. Thank you very much to our listeners for your questions. Unfortunately, it was impossible to address all, but even if not all questions could be answered during our discussion, we have covered a lot of topics around global cross-vendor LNI TSN testbeds applicable for heterogeneous applications. Thank you very much. Please visit the booth of LNI during the Hanover Fair, and I wish you a happy day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.